Hiya.
Hello,
Hi.
It's me, another random person on the internet here to talk about video games. If you clicked on this video, it's likely because I've drawn you in with my preposterous stipulation that video games are starting to become more and more like Netflix. Hey, that was my line, man.
No way, I just said it.
What do you mean? I said it first.
Are you actually hearing yourself right now?
Yeah, I am hearing myself. You sound like an idiot. Well, he sounds like you, actually. As tempting as it would be to explore the niche, innocuous world of Netflix gamers, I'm sure that goes hard for someone out there. I wanted to have an open discussion about how video games and Netflix are starting to feel suspiciously similar. To explore this, we'll be taking a look at gaming subscription services and taking a sticky beak at online storefronts, all with the help of some of my trusted friendos to console me as I try and just make sense of all of this. But first, I've got a question for you. How much is a video game worth? It's a rather simple question, isn't it? But before long, it becomes rather complicated. See, some might say that, yeah, you're fine. Some might say that a AAA game is worth $70. Others might say that a AAA game is worth $30. And of course, indie game titles vary drastically too. Hollow Knight is easily worth $40 for me, but for some it might not be. Just like others might not see Child of Light as valuable. To those people, you're wrong. But something like the Saints Row remake, man, this game is so sick. You can do things in it like this. I love this game. These are my
do to pay my rent.
You couldn't pay me to play that. Now, each of us has a different answer to some extent. But what happens when you add subscription models to the mix? Gaming subscription services. You've got EA Play, Ubisoft Plus, Amazon Luna, PlayStation Plus, Nintendo Online, and of course everyone's absolute favorite, Apple Arcade. Wait, hold on. You can play Hello Kitty Island Adventures on here? I'm back on board. See, there are loads of subscription services already, but one stands toweringly above the rest. Game Pass. Do me a favor, will you? I want you to guess how many games there are on Xbox's Game Pass on PC. Is it A, 274? Is it B, 192? Is it C, Where's Silksong? Or is it D, 468? Lock in C, please. Where's Silksong? For the people. Ooh, you were close, but I'm sorry. No. Sorry, Mom. I tried. The answer is actually 468 games. The average time it would take to complete all those games is 19,357 hours. That's over 2 years of Dorito licking, Mountain Dew sipping, non-stop, can't stop, won't stop gaming, my friend. Woo! Truth be told, a person probably can't play all these games in a lifetime. Yet for $4.99, $9.99, $11.99 US dollars, it could all be yours, my friend. And how does that make you feel? I mean, for me at first, it made me feel incredible. I mean, are you kidding? I get to play this many games? That's amazing. This is like literally the best deal ever. I would be insane not to take it. So I bought it. I gave my pretty little pennies to Mr. Spencer like a good boy, and I got access to the whole emporium, the whole kit and caboodle, and I felt nothing. I felt nothing. And more to the point, I played nothing. I had Game Pass for a whole 6 months, and I didn't really do anything with it. I mean, I played Halo 1 and 2 with one of my friends, but that's it. My gaming collection literally just went from this to this. I just felt nothing but apathy. This is what I call the Netflix effect. Have you ever had a moment where you thought, I'm gonna watch a movie, only to jump on your couch, get up Netflix and scroll for half an hour before you inevitably just give up and watch The Office for the 7th time? Couldn't be me. Well, here's the thought. How much would you pay for Hitman? No, not that Hitman. This Hitman. Or Six Underground. Or last year's winter classic, Falling for Christmas. I don't know it either. These are all Netflix original films. If you ask me how much I would spend, I would say not much, if anything at all. And I think the same thing is happening for video games right now. This is obviously subjective, but I believe that having subscription model services grossly depreciates our perceived value of video games. I mean, why would I spend 70 USD on the new Call of Duty when I could just basically get it for free on Game Pass? In a sense, COD holds little to no value to me now. Not surprising. What was at first an exceptional value proposition has strangely changed for me, and now I care less about the titles on offer. Alright, Let's pivot slightly. A less egregious but similar scenario can be seen on online storefronts. Firstly, I want to know, how many games do you have in your Steam library?
268.
268. Nice.
Over 250 in my Steam library.
Dang, over 250.
Yeah.
Have you got a specific number or just like...
I do. Well,
Keep it
I have
vague.
251 in my current library without hidden games. And I think
Okay.
I've got a handful of hidden games. So maybe if you add like 10 to that, so like about maybe let's say 265.
It is 273.
Yeah, how many of these Steam games that you own have you actually played?
98 of them I have not played.
That's like almost half.
I don't know. I think I've played almost all of them.
Nice, man. That's actually a question though. How many of those games do you think you've played?
Like maybe 40 to 50% I've actually like properly played.
Look, I love Steam. I love jumping on there and snatching a bargain as much as the next person. But I'll admit, it's definitely skewered how much I'm willing to spend now. I'll see a 50% off sale and scoff at it like it's nothing. Oh, what's this? Mafia Definitive Edition is $13.99, 80% off. That's like the equivalent of paying for a GameStop disc warranty. That is way too expensive. No, I'm not paying for that. More to the point, even with the measly 88 games I own on Steam, I still get that same feeling. The Netflix effect, where I just look at my screen and just stare at it and don't know what to play. Now, here's a more interesting question. How big is your Epic Games library?
It is at a rather shocking, to me at least, 63.
And it's a whopping 13.
Okay, you got 13 games in your Epic Games library.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, the very specific reason for this is that if I'm going to Epic, it's because there's a game that they have that Steam does not. And so I'm going out of my way to get that game.
Dude, how big is your Epic Games Store library?
I also did a bit of research for you on this one. My Epic Games library is 144, I think. Let me double check that.
Holy
yes, 144.
smokes.
Yeah.
How much do you think you've spent on the Epic Games Store?
Absolutely none. Nothing.
$0.
I have bought none of those 63.
800 to 1,000?
800,
Oh, jeez, that
1,000?
hurts. Yeah, gosh.
So you got in a fair few games like when they first come out or at full price sort of thing, I imagine.
Yeah, that exactly, absolutely.
Probably 300.
$300. So you
Oh, wait. Did I do that right? 200, right?
200.
Yeah.
So $200 for 150 games. That's almost like you get
A
a
dollar a
dollar a
game.
game. You're getting
Yeah.
close to.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty crazy, man.
Well, I think it's definitely one single factor, which is just the Epic releases free games every week. And I've missed out on a million of those games, but even the ones I do pick up have counted up to over 100 easily. And the problem is that I'm picking them up because they're free. I'm not taking them because I want to play them for most of them, right? And so that obviously leaves a bunch of games that are in my library that I don't really have time for, nor the interest. I just own them to the point where that has kind of started wearing off for me, where I will now check the Epic free games. And if the threshold previously was free, buying it for sure.
Yep.
But that threshold has now the very bottom quarter of games where I'm like, I know that even if I own this, I most likely will never touch it. I just don't redeem them.
Yeah, right. So even if they're free, if you don't like, you're not going to scoop them up unless you actually want to now. Okay, so you've spoken about what games you specifically bought, right?
Yeah.
What about another 100 and I don't know, like 45 games? How many of those do you think you've played on Epic Games Store?
Oh god, dude. Probably like 20.
20? Okay,
maybe.
Yeah. How many of those Epic Store games have you played?
Let me just check. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is an absolute nothing. I have neither bought none nor played none, but I have 63. And until recently, the Epic
wild.
Games Store was indeed uninstalled because I noted this fact and I thought, what am I doing?
I currently own 55 games on Epic. Not a single cent was spent. They were literally all free, and I haven't played a single one of them either. There are games I want to play, like this one or this. These look awesome. I just, for whatever reason, don't. And I suspect it has something to do with us receiving something for free versus purchasing it with our hard-earned bickies. Why is my brain like this? Why can't I just enjoy the free game? What is wrong with me? Thank you very much. I got you, boo. I'd hazard a guess and say there is a link between the Netflix-ification of video games and the impending digital-only gaming future that scowls at us. Could you imagine if in the future almost all games were done through a subscription model like our shows today? No thanks. The biggest downfall of these services, and really digital services in general, is the fact that you just don't own them.
Farewell.
You might spend the same amount of money, but you only own a license to that title. Sometimes you might mosey on over and buy a physical edition, only to find there's a key code in your steelbook. Where's the disc? Bruh. I've spoken now for a bit, but I really wanted to unpack this from a different perspective. So to avoid my little cognitive echo chamber, I decided to ask my friends what their thoughts were.
Oh, Nelly, do I have things to say about this? But I mean, nothing particularly new under the sun. Just like, yeah, it's what I call the Netflix effect. It devalues it by nature of if you've got access to everything, you'll not care to give things a crack. If you bought a game, for instance, like, it might not be the best game, but you might be able to give it a bit more time so that you actually give it a try, and then you can actually get to the end of it and you can enjoy it for what it is. Like, it's not the thing of saying that, like, if you should play all games. If you don't enjoy a game, don't play it. But I find that, with me at least, if I've got access to a whole lot of them for free, I've not worked for it, there's been no build-up, I suppose, towards playing it. I just don't care about it very much. Like, for instance, when I got Xbox Game Pass once, I was really, really excited to play 2 Point Hospital. I was like, really wanting to play it for ages.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I had it right there at my fingertips for free. And I never ended up actually playing it because I downloaded like a whole bunch of games at once because I was like, whoa, all these games I wanted to play. I saved it a bit too late. I touched other ones first. And then as I went down the list, I just stopped caring about the games for some reason. It just clicked in my brain. Whether that's just a me thing or other people, I'm not really sure.
I think the problem is not necessarily that the price always devalues them, but it's to say that I probably wouldn't buy half these games if they weren't dirt cheap in the first place. Why do I have a game called Bad Rat? Like, I just have questions. That's some
Bad Rat.
Bad Rat. Yeah. Don't ask me. It's on there because it was probably 75 cents, and I went, hey, that sounds like a great idea.
That's the bargain right there. You got to pick up Bad Rats, bro.
I think when I was a 14-year-old, I was like, man, the fact that I can get a game that I can't normally afford for like $10, like that was really exciting, and I would actually play the games. Like, I think the very first game I ever got on Steam was Left 4 Dead 2. Played 140 hours of that, and that was because it was just so accessible to be able to get these things. But then over time, I think it's eventually you just start picking up crap, and now you have 273 games, of which you've probably played half of it at max. I definitely agree with your assertion that it does devalue it to a bit, but I think that it also adds a level of accessibility to those people that don't have a huge amount of money.
Do I think it's being devalued? My answer to that would actually be no. However, it's because it's too broad. I would say not devalue, but definitely change. Like, Netflix-ification is one way to put it. You know, Spotify is another one that's really revolutionized music. Games are a different type of medium. An interesting kind of anecdote I have from when I was little is that, you know, when I got a game, it was such a big deal, like a single game. Like, I got Ratchet and Clank. Now I'm going to play this for a million hours till the CD gets worn in, you know, levels of like, this is a game I now own. I remember a friend of mine was like, hey, check this out. And he showed me his DS, and his DS had a what was it called? A Game Shark. And it had...
Oh, okay. It's like a cracked little thing with like...
Cracked,
like 500 games or something.
Yeah, it was a DS cartridge with like an SD card inside of it.
Yep.
And it had like 400, 500, something like that games. And I remember scrolling through, I'm like, this is so cool. What am I going to play? And I just jumped into like New Super Mario Bros. And I went out and I jumped into Animal Crossing, and I went out and I jumped into Pokemon and I went out. And then I remember feeling like, I don't think I like this.
Okay.
I was like going through and I'm like, this kind of feels like I have so many here that I don't really want to play any of them. You know, if you'd given me one cartridge of Pokemon Diamond or, you know, Platinum or something, and you gave it to me, which I had Platinum as a kid. If you gave that to me, and I would be like, yes, I want to play tons of this. But if you give me 500 of them, every moment I'm playing Platinum, it needs to fight for its survival in my time.
Shout out to
it needs
Pokemon
to
Platinum,
fight for
by the
my
way.
time. Yeah, huge shout out to Platinum, my boy.
Best Pokemon in my opinion.
But
Love that game.
so every moment I'm playing it in my head is like this idea of this is fighting for my time versus all 499 other games that I could be playing. I realized that having an overwhelming choice was not a good thing. I think game streaming is in some ways in its infancy, But what's really interesting is I noticed a huge uptake in Netflix when it was released. Among people who play games, I actually don't know anyone in my life who's subscribed to Microsoft Game Pass. So yeah, so kind of wild. I even had it at one point. A lot of people I know had it when it was new and have dropped it since then. On the other hand, I actually think 7 years in, right? And it's not made the impact that some other streaming services like Spotify, for example, right? Streaming services like that for music just exploded. People were like, oh my gosh, music that we can just have on demand, you know? That kind of stuff picked up really quick anecdotally. This is all anecdotal, right? From my experiences of people around me. I think that I think something inherent to the medium of games is making them not as attractive as a streaming service than compared to something like Spotify or Netflix. Like a song, you listen to a song and you're like, great, but you don't just listen to that one song for days and weeks and months. Whereas games, you take a multiplayer game and people will spend 3 hours a night, every night for months playing that game because they just love it, weeks or months.
Yeah.
Single player games, people just put all their time into it, playing it. But the thing as well is, could it lead to more consolidation as well? You know, you have this idea that if there's a streaming service, you know, Microsoft have come under big issues recently, I think, with the viability long term. Now that the actual growth has stalled out so much of Game Pass, they're not sure where the future of Game Pass is going to lie and whether it made money or not. Hi-Fi Rush is a huge example of that. One of the most innovative, like you said, and unique thing that we may not have gotten otherwise. And they canned the whole studio. You know, ultimately, I think game streaming could be huge, but I don't think it is at the point yet of really shifting the market. And so therefore it hasn't just yet shifted developers or players' perceptions quite yet.
So here's the question. How do we fix it? I don't know if we can. I don't know if it can be fixed. Perhaps this is just the natural consequence. There's gonna come a time where going to the shops, buying your game, opening the case, putting the disc into your console will just be completely eclipsed by convenience. Digital goods are far more easier to access. Step 1, lay on your couch. Step 2, press a button. Done. The only partial solution I can think of, at least for myself, is trying to purchase things with more intentionality and not just buying stuff because it's a sweet deal. But that's just me. Look, I'm self-aware enough to realize I'm complaining about something that is incredibly good value for money for now. And I'm not hating on getting a good deal. I'm not knocking the 34 million people that have Game Pass subscriptions. That's awesome. I just wanted to unpack how over time it's impacted how I perceive the value of video games, and I just wanted to see if anyone else feels the same way I do. Honestly, I believe chatting to some of my friends has really helped me have a more rounded perspective on this. There is so much more that can be said on this topic. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I just speaking nonsense right now? Probably. Why not leave a comment? I'd love to hear your contribution to the conversation. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. See ya. Wait, hold on. You can play Apple Kitty. Apple Kitty? Truth be told, a person probably can't play all these games in a lifetime.
You underestimate my power! Don't try it!
I'll play all these games, and then still have time to get back and, help those younglings.